So big announcement today from the Tulsi Gabbards. Huh? You want to hear it? Here it is.
Our nation is facing an unprecedented global crisis that highlights the inextricable bonds of humanity and how foreign policy and domestic policy are inseparable. We are all in this together, and we must all rise to meet this moment in service to our country and our fellow man. This is not the first time that we have faced adversity together, and it will not be the last. After the terrorist attack by al-Qaeda on our country on 9/11, we stood together as Americans, motivated to serve, marshaling our forces to defeat our common enemy. I and so many Americans all across this country enlisted in the military to do just that. Likewise, today, as Americans and all of humanity, we face a common enemy. It is once again time as Americans and as neighbors in this global community that we stand together once again and work hand in hand to defeat this new enemy, the coronavirus. Throughout my life and throughout this campaign, my motivation has been to serve God, our country, and the American people as best I can. I feel that the best way that I can be of service at this time is to continue to work for the health and well-being of the people of Hawaii and our country in Congress, and to stand ready to serve in uniform should the Hawaii National Guard be activated. Now, after Tuesday's election, it's clear that Democratic primary voters have chosen Vice President Joe Biden to be the person who will take on President Trump in the general election. I know Vice President Biden and his wife, and I'm grateful to have called his son, Beau, a friend who also served in the National Guard. Now, although I may not agree with the Vice President on every issue, I know that he has a good heart, and he's motivated by his love for our country and the American people. I'm confident that he will lead our country guided by the spirit of aloha, respect, and compassion, and thus help heal the divisiveness that has been tearing our country apart. So today, I'm suspending my presidential campaign and offering my full support to Vice President Joe Biden in his quest to bring our country together. I will continue to advocate for a 21st century foreign policy, one that's based on mutual respect and cooperation instead of confrontation, where we as a community of nations can work together to overcome the great challenges that our people face, preventing and stopping pandemics like the coronavirus that is now affecting all of us, tackling climate change, combating terrorism, removing the existential threat of nuclear war that hangs over the heads of all of us. I will continue to do everything that I can to help bring about an end to the new Cold War and nuclear arms race and end regime change wars, which are costing us trillions of dollars, so that we can invest these precious resources in the needs of the American people. Things like healthcare, rebuilding our infrastructure, education, and so much more. I want to extend my best wishes to my friends, Senator Bernie Sanders, his wife Jane.
Okay, you get it. So I thought this was interesting. First, let me just say this. So my comment on this is, it's hard. Everything's heartbreaking this year. Everything is heartbreaking. And so here's my first two theories on this was, she reached out to the Sanders campaign to endorse them, and they didn't return her call because they haven't been even acknowledging her existence, even though she's had his back through this whole campaign, unlike Elizabeth Warren and everybody else. So that was my first guess. My second guess was that they turned it down. That was my second guess, that she offered her endorsement to Bernie Sanders and they turned it down. So those are my two. So I was sure this was a mismanagement on the Sanders campaign because they so woefully dropped the ball at every turn. No ground game again. Anyway, that's another video. We'll go by and talk about the Sanders campaign. But so those are my first two guesses. and guests. And so I reached out to some people inside the campaign and some people who know some people inside the campaign. And I asked, hey, what's the deal? So I can't get any confirmation of what exactly happened. But what it looks like to me is that I was told that Bernie was thinking about dropping out on Wednesday. So there was rumblings from inside the campaign getting leaked out that he was thinking if he got wiped out on Tuesday, he was going to endorse Joe Biden on Wednesday. So, Bernie had rebuffed her the whole campaign. They didn't remember. If you remember, I interviewed Tulsi a week ago, was it? And I said, now, do you have some kind of coordinated progressive response to how to deal with coronavirus, how to deal with Joe Biden, how to deal with these debates? Are you in the Sanders campaign in any kind of conversation? No. And she just very terse, no. So, I'll interpret that. And then you can make your decision of whether my interpretation is accurate. Is that my interpretation was that, after how she had stood up for the Sanders campaign, stepped down, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And she still never attacked him. She took out Kamala Harris for him, took out Tim Ryan for him, went after the media, called them despicable, went after Elizabeth Warren, but then they went to commercial. And then she supported Bernie when he was accused of being a sexist, supported Bernie when he was accused of being propped up by Russians. She spouted down all that stuff. Still, the Sanders campaign wouldn't even acknowledge her. They said there's only 2 people left in the race. Remember they did that? So if that's the reason why, so what I'm thinking, and Tulsi already knows that Bernie is going to endorse Biden. That's happening. You know it. I know it. So when she's just beating Bernie to the punch. So now she was out getting Bernie's back. Bernie froze her out. Bernie did to her what the establishment did to Bernie. So she was in no man's land. And so she's not going to leave the party just like Bernie. And so she just decided to beat Bernie to the punch. The campaign's over. There's no way you can campaign. She told people on Tuesday, don't fucking vote. This is stupid and we should stop this. Bernie and the DNC and Biden said, go ahead, go vote. Which to me is it's sociopathic that they did that. And so it's over. That it is sociopathic. That's the kind of stuff Nazis do. I talked about even ISIS told their people, don't do jihad because of the coronavirus. Stay home. The Democratic Party, Joe Biden, Tom Perez, and Bernie Sanders said go vote. Bernie questioned. He was like, well, I don't know if we should. He did a couple of those. That's not leadership. So we all know that it's coming, that Bernie's going to, and you know it. So all these people angry at Tulsi today, it's kind of funny because Bernie's going to endorse Biden. You know it. And when it came down to a debate where the future of the country and the progressive movement hinged on Bernie being able to throw a knockout punch and exposing Joe Biden for the demented death rattle that he is, he wouldn't throw the punch. And so he forfeited. So this race has been forfeited by Bernie. And so Tulsi saw that, and she sees that Bernie's getting ready to fucking endorse Biden at any second. And so she just beat him to the goddamn punch. And so also some people were upset that, well, why didn't she ever say anything bad about Joe Biden? Why didn't Bernie ever say anything bad about Joe Biden? Bernie went around repeating Joe Biden's whole campaign slogan, which is Joe's a decent guy and he can beat Trump. So I'd rather she would say I'm not endorsing it. But what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck she's supposed to do. So that's my take on it. She's just beating Bernie to the punch, and it's a sad day all around. It's sad that Bernie's campaign ran such a horrible campaign. They had shit ground game. They wouldn't fucking run the campaign that would win. They ran a campaign that would protect Bernie's Senate appointments, not a campaign that would win. And guess who did run a campaign that would win? The establishment. They went scorched earth, baby. They went scorched earth on Bernie. They're fucking doing everything, flipping votes in Iowa. They're fucking exit polls are off. They get everybody to coalesce. They get the entire media to scare the shit out of everybody that Bernie can't win, but Joe can. And then Bernie says Joe can. So that's it. That was the end of the campaign. The whole campaign was Joe Biden can beat Trump and Bernie can't. And as soon as Bernie said, yes, Joe can, that was it. It was all over. Because now and people are scared. So this was kind of quite a forward-thinking democracy tweeted this out. Biden was against gay marriage at one point, and Pete Buttigieg endorsed him. Biden was against busing, and Kamala Harris endorsed him. Biden was for the Iraq War, and now Tulsi's endorsed him. Biden worked with segregationists, and Booker endorsed him. Yeah. So just so you know, this is, of course, Noam Chomsky. And of course, I've been saying this since 2015 or 2016 that we needed a third party. And when Bernie endorsed Hillary Clinton the first time, that was a huge mistake. And it was. It was a huge mistake. And it was just a big of a huge mistake to run the kind of campaign he ran this time. It was a huge mistake to pledge his loyalty to the fucking party before the primary was over. It was all huge mistakes. It was all unbelievable. And a big, huge mistake not to have a ground game. In the United States, there is basically one party, the business party. It has two factions called Democrats and Republicans, which are somewhat different but carry out variations of the same policies. By and large, I am opposed to these policies, as is most of the population. So Tulsi is now endorsing Joe Biden, who is diametrically opposed to what she stands for, because we have two parties. Bernie is going to endorse Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden has already said, even in the middle of a pandemic, he's not going to sign a Medicare for all, even if it gets passed by the House and the Senate. Bernie's going to endorse that guy. It's coming. He's already done it. He's already endorsed him. So this is a sad time. It's really sad. There's no leader of the progressive movement right now. Bernie cannot stop propping up the establishment. He won't stop. So I still call for. So here's what I'm thinking. The most we can hope for, because right now Trump is way to the left of Joe Biden and to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the entire Democratic Party. Trump is handling this crisis the way Obama should have handled his 2009 financial crisis. What do you mean, Jimmy? Okay, first of all, Trump is canceling foreclosures and evictions. He's doing it through HUD first, but I predict they'll extend it. He's also doing a UBI, direct cash payments to every human being in the country. Direct cash payments. That's his idea. Could you imagine if Barack Obama did that in 2009, gave direct cash payments to people who were getting kicked out of their houses, and then also stopped foreclosures? Guess what? You know what would have happened? Hillary Clinton would have got elected. But because Barack Obama wasn't as much of a populist and a lefty as Donald Trump, we got Donald Trump. And now Donald Trump is going to bury Joe fucking Biden because he's giving you UBI. He's saying if we bail out corporations, the government should own part of them. He's calling for a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions. He's also he's nationalizing corporations to produce stuff that our country needs right now. He's going full-blown socialist. You know who's afraid to do that? The Democrats. The Democrats are afraid to do that. Right now, Nate, well, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, Jimmy.
So, by the way, I just want to show you this. Jonathan Chait. So if you want to know how the New York Times is always wrong, just here it is. Jonathan Chait said, last fall, I read Gabbard's anti-Democratic Party rhetoric as a preview of a spoiler bid. I was wrong. as Aaron Mate tweeted out, that's an evergreen tweet for you. You could just tweet that out. You're wrong about everything. You've never been right about anything. But he always is wrong in in favor of the establishment. So he'll always have a place at the New York Times. I'm smarter than that guy after a bong and 3 Negronis. I'm fucking smarter than this guy. And he works for the New York Times. I used to be impressed by that. When people would say, I used to work for the Times or I write for the Times. I used to be impressed by that. Couldn't be less impressed with that anymore. So let's just stop. I'm going to stop it there for Tulsi. Do you have anything you want to say about the Tulsi dropping out? Because that's what I had. I just said I think everything I have to say.
Jimmy, I tweeted out that, of course, that I'm sad that she dropped out. But, the way I look at it, how can you run a campaign? How can you ask people to give you money to run a campaign? And she just came out and she said that I don't think you should go to the primaries and vote. I think it's a dangerous thing, and I think that's a leader. And you know what? Maybe in another situation, if we didn't have a pandemic. We have a pandemic. Rules have changed. That's how I feel. She is one of the youngest politicians right now, and I believe Tulsi will be around for a while. And let's see. Again, Jimmy, I saw that we tweeted out the live stream, and there are numerous people that are coming back by saying that they did mention that they had seen other posts where she had asked to endorse Bernie, and they didn't want her endorsement. So we don't have any kind of information yet.
I reached out to the campaign, people I know inside it. They couldn't confirm nor deny what had happened. They don't know if she reached out. They don't know if Bernie got the message. They don't know if Bernie rebuffed. They don't know. So,
and by the way, one more thing. Everybody signed that form who's running in the Democratic Party.
Right.
That they will support the nominee.
Everybody
signed it.
Everybody signed it. And if you're angry at Tulsi right now, you're going to have just as angry at Bernie in a second. I was sure he was going to drop out Wednesday. For him to let that vote go on Tuesday without screaming at the top of his lungs, we're in the middle of a fuck. There's people who are going to literally die because of that. That's what the shit Nazis do. Even ISIS wouldn't do that. And as much as affection as I have for Bernie Sanders and gratitude for him and what he's done, I lost a shit ton of respect for him because of that. And that was gross. Like, I don't even know how much I have left, like if there's any, because that just showed him to be, whoa, that is fucked up. So we'll just leave it at that. And we need a new leader going forward. Bernie's fucking going to be 80 in 5 seconds, and we need and so whatever.
And Jimmy, I just want to
here's
say,
what I forgot. I forgot to say this. I forgot to say this, so let me say this. This will so going forward, the best we can hope for is that Trump wins, and then Bernie Sanders does a revolt, and somehow cements all of Trump's reforms permanently. So we get the UBI permanently. We get see what I'm saying? And hope there's going to be some kind of Medicare for all, because they're setting up government hospitals right now. Right? So they just got 1,000-bed Navy ship hospital off of New York, in New York Port. So now you start treating people. This is going to last for a year or two. So you start treating people for free because they have coronavirus or wherever. And then the people who get better, they still need treatment afterwards. A lot of people are going to need treatment for a long time because it scars their lungs. So we may get Medicare for all, and because you just have to hope that after Trump wins again, because he's going to beat fucking Biden, you just hope that Bernie could somehow, or somebody could then make these temporary socialist changes permanent. We have a permanent UBI, and we get some real. And by the way, he's directing corporations to make stuff that they're supposed to be, that we need. So why isn't capitalism saving us? I don't understand. You would think all the capitalists would rise up and fix this problem. Save capitalism. Oh, that's right. Capitalism fails all the time, and socialism has to come bail it out. Capitalism fails all the time, and socialism has to come and bail it out. So just to show you how bad.
No, I'm going to say something.
I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry.
No worries. I just wanted to say I don't know another politician in my lifetime that more people have learned about than Bernie Sanders.
Right.
That he was able to push the conversation
Right.
about Medicare for all.
Right.
He has made a definite difference in many people's lives.
Right.
Amazon workers, Disneyland workers, the fight for 15. And we all know that just the fight for 15 is not enough. And that we're going to see changes in our community more than ever.
Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?